think we're going, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Well, I'm
getting a
excited to
little
be here.
getting a little mesmerized by the intro there, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, great. Let's get kicked off as we've got people coming in. This is AI in action. We are going to show you the 10-minute fixes that save hours. This is practical AI for SMBs. And if you've joined us for our last sessions, this is sort of session three of our AI webinar. The first one, we showed you an overview of AI, some trends, and where we believe AI is going for SMBs. Last time we showed you our three-phase project implementation and some ways that you can implement AI for your company. This time we're getting a little more granular. And we're going to show you, so it's more of a quick fire round today, some quick tips and tricks that you can use as an individual to give you back hours in your day. And I'm sure we all need that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So if you have a question or if you have feedback, feel free to pop it in the Q&A. All questions will be treated anonymously and we will deal with that at the end. And you can also get the webinar recording, which is available within 48 hours or so. Okay, let's do some quick intros. I'm Lou Lamb. I lead marketing and operations at 182. And I've worked in global tech firms for over the last 50 years, and I'm fascinated by all things technology and more recently, particularly AI. And joining me today is Farzan Almanieh, who is the founder and CEO of 182. And so Farzan is the strategist behind how we're approaching AI with our clients. And he spent his career helping businesses make smart, sustainable tech decisions, and more recently, helping them navigate AI without getting lost in the noise.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Lou. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And so also just a little about 182 for those who are unfamiliar with us. We are a strategic IT partner for small and mid-sized businesses, especially in the highly regulated industries like legal and accounting and finance. And our goal is to help businesses work smarter by simplifying tech, tightening workflows, and making sure their tools actually support their goals and not slow them down. So, as I said, this is part three of our AI webinar series. Part one and part two were great fun, and this is where we get a little more granular on how you can implement lots of different ways of using AI for yourself. So, we're not selling you on big concepts or even selling you on using AI. This is more of a quick fire round of what you can implement. And we're going to tackle some of the most common problems that we hear from business leaders and employees. And for sure, some of these tips and tricks and tools you will already know about, and you may already be using. Some of them you won't. And in some scenarios, we're going to show you some alternative ways of using AI that you might not have thought of.
Yeah,
So let's get diving in, shall we?
yeah, let's do it.
All right. Issue sorting the inbox chaos. And I know for sure, Fazan, that your inbox chaos is much worse than mine.
Yeah.
Crazy time. So last time we showed you the catch-up assistant, but you don't have to have that. This is another way you can use AI to help with the email chaos, and we have all been there. Just last week, I was at a conference, and as we all know, other than being able to tackle, the big ticket items, it's pretty tough to keep up with the day-to-day. And as well as backlog, inbox chaos is the number one complaint across industries. And so, if you've ever wanted to clone yourself to deal with emails, this is probably as close as it gets.
Just one clone, huh?
Just one, that's right. So, just to give you an example, here's a little snippet of just a part of what I was dealing with when I came back from the conference. And I needed to sift through all of this. And I gave it a prompt just to help me summarize all of my emails from the previous week. And I asked it to group by urgency, list any actions, and suggest the owners. And so let's see what that spat out for me. And so this is what it gave me. I should just say that names have been hidden to protect the innocent. So there's nothing confidential here. And I would say that what it gave me was pretty accurate. And I would actually agree with the priority order that Copilot put it in. But I have also been using ChatGPT and Copilot for a really long time now. So both tools have built up a good picture of how I operate. And I've also been training both as if it were an employee. And so if you felt that there were inconsistencies for you, this would be the point when you let it know. So if you don't get what you expected, chances are you haven't trained it enough or used it enough, or you may not have provided enough detail, or you may need to phrase things differently. But the beauty here is speed plus clarity and no more missing the urgent client note because it was buried under a load of newsletters, right? And it shifts email from a time sink into a decision-making tool.
Yeah, we've all been there. It's like you come back from, being out or even just half the day or a conference like we were, and you got too many emails in your inbox and you got to get to things. It's just, only so much time in the day. And the other part here, I'm really glad that Lou's talking about it, is some people when they go to try AI, they don't, they see other people get the results that they're looking for, and then they go to try it, they don't get the results they're looking for. And it's like, why didn't it work for me? And that's the key point here is that with AI, first of all, it's generally never a 100% solution. It's not going to get you all the way there, but it's going to get you a lot of times around 90% there.
Yeah.
And you got to talk to it. Hey, that's not what I was looking for. I need it to be more like this. And it gets to know you. And you start getting results like this pretty quick.
And I also got a little bonus with this as well. Copilot preempted me in a couple of areas that I might want to dig further. And again, those preemptive questions get more accurate and better the more that you use it. So I
Mhm.
said this was going to be a quick fire today. So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's try the next thing.
Great. The issue, writing multi-dimensional emails.
What is a multi-dimensional
Yeah,
email?
maybe we could have used a different word there. It sounds a little bit sci-fi, doesn't it?
It does.
So what I mean by this is that sometimes we need to send emails that have multiple goals, and when writing them, we can sometimes get lost in the words and even confuse the people that read them. And so we end up maybe,
Guilty.
yeah, that's right. That's definitely me too. So we end up picking the phone and then scheduling a meeting because it's going to be easier and quicker. And I know this has been you as well, Fazon. How many times have we poured over an email trying to get the tone right, the information right, the clarity right? And it's really important that we get to a good end result with this. And it can take 15, 20 minutes sometimes. And then we decide, actually, I'm not getting where I need to be. And so now I've scrapped the email, lost that time. Now I'm having more time scheduling a meeting and actually adding to my time by now having that meeting, right? This is a very common scenario.
It really is.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the timeline of whatever you're trying to get done is extended. Now it's taking longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a frustrating experience.
Yeah. So AI can take the complexity out of that. So again, I took just one of my emails and something that I wanted to respond to, and I asked it to respond to this email, uh, asking for three things: to confirm receipt, I wanted a couple of clarifying questions, and I wanted to offer a 15-minute slot to talk. And I even gave it some instructions on what I wanted the tone to be. Um, You can do that, but again, if you've been using AI for a long time and you've been training it, chances are it's got a good grasp of how you talk and how you sound.
Yeah,
And so, shall we see what it spat out? Let's
let's
take a
check it
look.
out.
And look, this is, and I read that, and that pretty much sounds like me. It's very concise, it was to the point, and very easy to understand. And so at this point, again, Copilot's preempting me with this, but you can also, instead of sending, take some time to make some small edits so that it sounds like you.
Yeah, I mean, again, it gets you almost all the way there or all the way there, and you just make little changes. Like we talked about in our last couple webinars, you need to think of it as like a junior colleague. It does a lot of work for you, but you got to check over its work, put
Yeah.
your final touches on it. Yeah.
All right. Quick fire round again. The issue, turning data into an executive brief. Now, it could be Word, could be PowerPoint. And as someone who has done a lot of presentations over the years, I know that I have spent hours pouring through information, trying to get the right information to land with the people I'm presenting to or talking to. And then if it's a PowerPoint presentation, spending hours making that look nice and
It's
pretty.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. And and sometimes you can really kill yourself trying to figure out how to make sure it lands and translates. So you're taking, what's essentially spreadsheet data and turning it into something, that you can talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take an example. And I want to say that I did ask ChatGPT to generate just some Excel information that I could use as an example for this presentation. So any names in there, if they are real companies, that is purely coincidental. And none of the figures that we're reflecting today in any of what we're presenting has anything to do with any company, real or make believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see the information or the instructions that I gave, and I think I did chat GPT for this one, and I asked it to create 5 slides, and I gave it some guidance on what I wanted each slide to look like, and I asked it to pull from the Excel spreadsheet that I uploaded. And I also said it as long as that's possible, and if not, ask me. I also prompted ChatGPT to ask me for more clarifying questions if needed. And this is what it spat out. And it's like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, I
It's not
think.
bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty close, but it isn't really how I wanted it to look. And so what I realized was, and I've kept this in on purpose to show, how you sometimes have to iterate on this. And I'd left out a couple of things. I left out a color scheme or some specifics on how I wanted that PowerPoint presentation to look. So I went back and I did another round, and I asked it to do an alternative layout using the blue and green color, and I asked it to resize the deck from widescreen to standard size. And something interesting happened here. It did all of that, but it also added an additional slide that I didn't ask for, which is this executive summary that you see at the beginning. Is that, that's okay. It wasn't it wasn't necessary. I didn't need it. It's kind of covered in the rest of it. And so I can just take that out. And at this point, I feel like I got to a fairly good place with the presentation. And there are still a few tweaks, like the font isn't right, it's not the right size, it's not centered correctly. But at this point, it was probably going to be more time to go back and use AI to correct all of this than it would be to go and do those couple of tweaks myself, which I did. And we ended up with something that looked more like this, just a little more polished, a little more consistent.
Yeah, this is where a lot of people get stuck is they start working with AI and then, they keep kind of going around and around and around until it gets to 100%. And the thing is, again, we need to treat it like a junior colleague. In this case, you got really close and you just did what, a couple changes? And
Yeah.
I
And
think what was it? Like you went from the spreadsheet where you started to this presentation in what, I think 15, less than 20 minutes, right?
no, this took about 8 minutes. It took about
Yeah.
5 or 6 minutes to get to that second attempt presentation, and maybe another 2 or 3 minutes just going through this with a human eye and balancing out the presentation. So this really genuinely was under 10 minutes. Now if you've got bigger presentations and more information, of course that you need to factor that in.
I mean, we used to spend like half a day on stuff like this, and it's incredible just what AI has done to reclaim our time.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
All right. We're going to move on to the next issue. Cleaning up messy data into clear visuals. And you and I are both a little OCD when it comes to data. And I know messy data and inconsistencies drive us nuts. So again, just for webinar and presentation purposes today, I asked for some Excel data with some numbers in it, and I asked for it to be inconsistent
But
and
this looks
messy.
but this looks way too common for those of us who've known like when you're pulling like a list or you're getting data from people, it's so much looks like this, where, why does annual revenue have commas in some in some rows and not in others? Or why is the phone number just a number with no brackets and then some with brackets or dashes? It can be sort of mind-boggling when you get your data like this and you want to have it unified, like all the same way.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really comes to the rescue.
So these were the instructions that I gave, and you can read that. I was very specific about what I wanted to see. And of course, again, you have to know the output that you're looking for, and you have to know what it is that you want to see in order to be able to ask the right questions. And I didn't just come by this prompt or this way of describing things. These are lots of iterations of using it over and over again to start to understand what resonates with the AI model that you're using. And in some instances, I've also used AI to help me create a prompt or a description or a brief that AI will understand so that I'm describing it correctly. And so you can see I asked for a number of things, and this is what we got. And I can just breathe a sigh of relief
Yeah,
looking at these beautiful new columns.
I can't tell you how many times I've had a spreadsheet with like, 1,500 rows, and it's like, okay, now we have to go through each one and fix the little commas and brackets and dashes and, irregularly, or sometimes there's a space where a space shouldn't be. And it's pretty hard work and it's easy to make mistakes. And AI can do it in just like it takes just what a couple of minutes to write the instructions and then your spreadsheet's fixed. It's
Yeah,
just like that. And computers are really good at being perfect about this kind of thing too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've cleaned up our messy data, let's take this one step further. We want to put this into some clear visuals. Maybe we want to use those visuals for the presentation, that we were just working on, a quick drag and drop right in there. So I asked it three things. And the first one was just an ask to take the numbers from the spreadsheet and literally use those numbers to put it in to a bar graph. And this is what it gave me. Not too shabby. And it's even done it, from largest to smallest. I didn't ask it to do that, but it looks pretty good. And you'll see a little inconsistency here already. And I've left that in on purpose, and we'll come to that. So then I asked it to do another thing for me, and this one got a little trickier because I didn't ask it just to pull numbers directly from the Excel spreadsheet. It needed to do a calculation. I asked it to show the percentage of MRR to revenue for each company. So there's a calculation involved that you would ordinarily have to do in Excel first and then turn that data into another visual. And this is what it gave me. And this came up just as quickly as the previous one did. And another example of that is a similar prompt to provide a chart showing me the cost per person each month using MRR. And this is what it gave me again. And it really was that quick. And I want to highlight a couple of things because we say it all the time. Do not rely 100% on AI giving you the results that you want. In this example, there are a couple of little inconsistencies here that shouldn't be there. We've got that break in the bar, and LLP turned from capitalization to a capital and small letters, and that isn't what I wanted at all. So again, I've left this in here on purpose, just again to demonstrate you do need to check every output that you get, and you may need to do a little bit of cleanup with almost everything that you do.
Yep. But here's the thing. Charts aren't new for people that work in Excel all the time. And what I can tell you though is taking data that's not calculated already in Excel and actually turn that into a chart without like creating new calculated rows and whatnot. That's different. And that's where like AI came to play here and using natural language, just talking at it and saying what you wanted. Really just incredible. You could really expand on that.
Okay, we are quick firing through to the next issue, turning complicated information into clarity and action. And I'm gonna turn this one over to you, Farzan, because the example that we're going to give is something that you're in every day dealing with.
Absolutely. Right, right. Okay, so um, compliance. Not, unless you do compliance for a living, that's what you do purely. I don't think anybody looks forward to it, frankly. There's such long regulation, there's so much detail, there's so much written information, and it's somewhat cryptic or very cryptic, using a lot of big words, and it doesn't always make sense. And of course, for our clients, we help them with their compliance, and we're really good at that. But even with our clients, AI really comes to the rescue because when you go from being compliant and then actually implementing that into your workflow, it's not the easiest thing. Your team might be confused, not understand it. You might be making changes that affects maybe your vendors or your clients, and you need to be able to explain to them why you're making those changes and how it's going to affect them in a beneficial way. These are all things that are complicated. Things like data governance and those all kinds of things that how do you explain this to people who don't do compliance for a living? AI comes to the rescue here. And beyond that, why I really like this example that Lou came up with is notice there's a link in the prompt here where the question was asked to AI. What a lot of people have tried, and you probably have too, is that you can upload documents into AI and it can analyze those documents. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you can skip that step. You can actually just give it a link to a website and you can ask it questions about that website. And that's what we've done here in this example. So here we've asked uh, Copilot to summarize this FTC safeguards compliance policy into, what it means to business owners, what it means to their staff in plain English. Then draft like a 150-word email to send to clients, explain what it means to them, and then lastly, generate three compliance FAQs that we can publish internally for our staff. And here's what it came up with. Here you go. What is literally volumes and volumes of information distilled down into what ends up being 10 bullet points in clear human language that makes sense to your team or your clients or business owners in this case. And it's just absolutely fantastic. And I don't want to misrepresent anything here. There's no way you can take a compliance standard and distill it down into 10 bullet points. But when you're working with parts of the implementation or running the compliance, you can take a large volume of information and distill down that part and be able to make real communication that makes sense and implement it in a way that works. Because if people don't understand why you're doing something, the compliance is not gonna, you're not gonna get it right. And so this is just a lifesaver for us and our clients. And so here's another example of the output that came here. Here's a 150-word email, just fantastic. And then a few FAQs just from that one prompt. So much work, so much communication, and well done. Now, one thing I need to asterisk here is just like with all AI, it can hallucinate, which means it comes up with fake information. And when it comes to compliance, especially compliance, you have to be careful here. Again, we need to treat it like a junior colleague. We need to check its work. So while it did the heavy lifting, created all these pieces for us, you need to go back and verify its work, and you're good to go. Again, saving you hours and hours of time.
Yeah. And sort of moving on to the next issue in a similar kind of vein, writing multiple pieces of content, which is something that I come up with in my day-to-day, every day, as doing marketing for 182.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
even this could be for your anything, doesn't matter what it is. It could be your employee manual, it could be an internal communication, it could
yeah,
be something to a vendor or a client or anything. But we all experience where we write a piece which basically has the information we need, but we need to use it in multiple places.
yeah, and there are multiple use cases for this as well. So this is a blog for 182. This is something that I used AI to pull this blog together based on the presentation that we're giving today. And so now we have a piece of marketing material that is a blog. Um, and there are a lot of ways to use a lot of information to repurpose it and to make sure that it lands with the right audience in the right way, with the right information and the right tone. So, taking this blog, I asked AI to write a 120 word LinkedIn post, a short email to clients, inviting them to use one of our 10-minute fixes. And just for fun, I also asked it to write a video script that would include a call to action. And this is what we got. And that quick.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think you might have forgot there, the blog was written based off this presentation deck that you're looking at right now. So a perfect example, a presentation deck like this, probably what we put 150 hours into something like this, putting it together. I forget what it is, but the reality is you put a lot of time and it's the content's there and but now you need multiple pieces and AI is really great extracting that information and then now you have more assets to work with. It's fantastic like that.
Yeah. Okay, this isn't an issue. This one's just for fun because this is just something that you might not use every day, but it's just another fun way that we can show you how you can get really quick results from AI. And so let me introduce you to Vixen. So on the left here, it's Vixen. And at the beginning of the year, we had some fun trying to come up with, a mascot for 182. And this was a lot of back and forth. Again, this is AI generated. This was a lot of back and forth with ChatGPT, iterating on various ideas and what it would look like. And eventually, and this was a few hours, this wasn't instant, this one was a few hours. And eventually, we settled on Vixen. And so, Fodder, I'm going to hand this over to you because actually you're really responsible for the output
Yeah.
here. So,
We were trying to add some fun to 182, and nobody's seen this. This is the first time anybody outside of 182 has seen Vixen. We haven't officially uh, announced her or anything, but a whole lot of fun. So we started with the picture on the left, but one of the things we wanted to do was animate her for this presentation.
yeah,
And with AI technology now, it's incredible. Google came out with something that's really taken the world by storm. Everybody's talking about it. It's called Veo 3. And it can take still images and turn it into animations with sound. It's fantastic.
yeah.
So, Lou, why don't we show them what we come up with?
Okay.
Drowning in email and spreadsheet chaos? 182 can show you AI fixes that give hours back. Try one today.
Love
Yay.
it. Love it.
And again, using
Incredible.
AI, we took the previous script from our multiple assets and asked it to condense it into an 8-second soundbite that we could use for Vixen. And how long did it take you to pull this video together?
I mean, once we had the prompt together, maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
And again, doing something like this would be unrealistic for a company as small as 182, right? We might have been able to afford to have someone build the mascot. That would might have been in the past before AI possible, but the video to do that animation, that would have been a small fortune to do.
Yeah.
Not that this was cheap, but compared to what it would have been to hire an agency to do it, it was cheap. What you should know if you decide you want to try the video stuff with Veo 3 is that it's each time you talk at it, like one time, one chat, can be about $1.50. And so that's not a small amount of money when we're used to like, your free or $20 a month ChatGPT or Copilot that you can talk to it as much as you want. With Veo 3 and this advanced video technology, there's a pretty steep cost per use. It's consumption based. So, but in a sense, what I think was it 4 or 5 iterations of this. So we spent like $10 to create this little animation, which is
Yeah,
just it's nothing. It's
a lot of
fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. It
Yeah.
really is.
And staying on the creative side, the issue, costly and time-consuming photos. And I'm going to hand this one over to you as
Yeah.
well, Farzan.
Yeah. So, okay. So for those who are on the newest things that are going on, about a week and a half ago, Google came out with something called Nano Banana.
Or Nano Banana, if you're
I guess
from
if
the
you're,
UK.
yeah, from the
You say
UK.
tomato, I say tomato.
So, Nano Banana is absolutely incredible. People are calling it the Photoshop killer, literally. AI is now doing things and editing photos through natural languages that just was not possible just a couple of weeks ago. It's just absolutely incredible. And I'm going to give you an example. Here's the situation. On the top right here, you'll see the 182 website. Here's a picture we have. Okay. It's on our homepage. We have this fantastic marketing company, and they're just absolutely brilliant when it comes to building websites and keeping it going, right? And when they built this, they used stock photos. That's which is normal. Most companies use stock photos when building a website, and that picture right there is a really great one. And I'm sure we paid a small fortune for that picture, and it's fantastic and whatnot. But we want it to be pictures of us. It's like actual 182 people in our place. And so what would it take to do that for a small business? We'd have to schedule the time, decide on how we were going to stage the office, get everybody together, get a professional photographer, take all the pictures, go through the pictures, select them, and then have someone edit them in Photoshop to be ready for the website. Very costly and time-consuming experience. With Nano Banana, take a look here on the left. Here's a picture of Lou and I, just taken from some Samsung phone. We had given a presentation at the Lions Club of Los Gatos on cybersecurity back in, I think it was February or March,
Hmm.
and we had this picture taken of us. So I took this picture, I loaded it into Nano Banana here, which is part of the Google AI Studio, and I gave it some detailed instructions here, as you can see, but very much natural language. But I told it, hey, I would like to have Lou and I kind of mimicking the picture you see on the top right. And here's what it did.
Wow.
Incredible.
I've been in Nano Banana a bit, and I've seen some of the examples it spits out. And the first thing that was apparent to me, I want to go back for anybody that missed it. If I don't know if the picture's large enough, but in the Lions Club picture, I have my glasses on my head, and there is also a little bit of hair color gradient going on. And so that is the amount of detail that it picks up on. It knew to put the glasses on my face if I'm reading something, and that hair color gradient was apparent as well. And it's that level of detail that really surprised me with this product.
Yeah. And I asked it to put a bow tie on me. And I said, use the 182 blue color and put 182 orange pinstripes on the bow tie. And it did it. First try. Just first, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I think when it comes to pictures, people are very critical of their own pictures. And I can tell you when I look at that, I feel like it looks like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just incredible. And so this is a picture we could use. We could put this on our website. I feel very comfortable with that and didn't need to do any of the expensive photo shoot. I think we got another example, right?
We do.
Yeah. So in the same vein, we have the picture on the right on our website, and we wanted to have a picture for that was with our team. And over here we got picture, I think that's about 8 years ago, of Forrest. Some of you know Forrest. He's our BCIO here at 182. And I said, hey, I want it to look like the picture over here on the right. Let's see what it did.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Certainly cleaned
What?
him up a bit. I think there's a beard trim going on there with this one, but it looks great.
It looks exactly like Forrest. When I gave this to Forrest to take a look at, he started laughing. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he thought it was fantastic. And let me tell you, Forrest is a very picky person. So for him to say he liked the photo was great. Yeah,
Yeah,
it just
great.
goes to show what they've done here with Nano Banana.
Yeah.
It's completely new evolution in what's possible. And while the earlier example we gave the showed you the video vixen is really neat, and videos are fun. Practicality, this is a utility that businesses would use more often. Just I can just think of so many places we would use something like this.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right. And again, our slide here is not, are you ready? It is, you are ready. And I hope we've given you some use cases today, and maybe some new use cases or new ways of using AI that you are ready to go and start implementing to give you hours back in your day, because it really can cut through the daily chaos. And just remember, it's about small, repeatable wins. It doesn't have to be a massive project. So start small. If AI is something that's overwhelming, start small and do it consistently and iterate consistently. If the first output isn't right, and by the way, that happens all the time here. We, very often get an output that first time isn't correct. Sometimes we nail it, more often than not, we don't. And so we have to go around and iterate again. And the more we do that, the better the output becomes for us over time. And I know that you're going to want to say something about security and safety with this again, Fazan, because it's something that we feel that we do need to repeat every time we
absolutely.
do one of these.
Just make sure that you're being compliant, and even outside of compliance, you're protecting your company's safety. Intellectual property, private information, PII, health information. These are the kind of things that you don't want to put into AI unless you're absolutely sure that the AI you're using is protected, and it doesn't train off your information.
Mhm. Okay, and so with that, we do have a couple of questions, and I'm just going to leave this page up so that you have the information there if you would like to go and download our guide to AI, or if there's any aspect of AI that you feel you could benefit from or your business could benefit from, please do reach out and talk to us. We have a lot of expertise around this. And it's something that we're very passionate about. So don't hesitate to reach out and see how we can help you. So I'm going to get to the first question. If there are any other questions, please do feel free to use the Q&A. We'll get to those. So the first question here is, there are an incredible amount of tools, AI tools to use. How can we find which are the right tools for us? And I get that. It's a lot to sift through, and it moves
Yeah.
so quickly. So, Fazan, what would you say?
Yeah. So, and from a general sense, if it's for your business, and most companies are running on a Microsoft platform, I would stick to Copilot, and the business edition where you buy a license for it, not the one that comes free in Windows or Microsoft Edge. Because there, you have the controls. Microsoft's built a whole platform for years and years and years before AI exists on protecting your data, and it's really good at it. And so it's a safe place. And then, you know, for example, Copilot, runs off ChatGPT. And it was basically lagging behind ChatGPT in technology. But like, for example, ChatGPT 5 just came out, and Microsoft was I think it showed up in Copilot before it even showed up in ChatGPT for a lot of people. So they've really accelerated things. So you get a lot of the benefits. Also, what's nice about Copilot is it's connected to your inbox and your OneDrive and your SharePoints and whatnot. Now, if you are working on Google Workspace, um, Gemini is fantastic. having a lot of the same benefits for the licensed edition that Copilot would have. Chat GPT can be very good. You have to be on the right plan and manage that correctly. Be careful there, connecting your data to it. It wants it. Look, with AI, we want to connect it to our data so we can do more things with it. That's natural. We're trying to get things done. We're trying to do the great things, but we have to be careful how we connect our data and what that means.
And following on from that, is there a website out there that can help evaluate which product to use depending on what it is that you want to achieve?
There are evaluation websites. There let us follow up with that one. I will send an email to
Okay.
everybody that joined here with suggestions if that's something they want. Because there's a few different ones, and we should take a chance with the email on that one.
Okay. We'll follow up with that one. That's a great question. And another question I have here are other than Copilot and ChatGPT, what other AI tools are out there that are free for use that doesn't cost any money? Or maybe it's not cost any money, maybe it doesn't cost a fortune, might be the better way to frame that because everything costs these days. But what are the best free sites outside of Copilot and ChatGPT?
Yeah, I think everybody should try Google Gemini. Google's been great. Anybody who uses Google search has seen a little bit by now because they're adding AI into the search. So whether you have a log on or not, you're kind of seeing it. Canva. A lot of businesses use Canva, and Canva is actually really good. And yeah, there is like sort of the basic version, and then there is the paid for. I know you asked about free, but Canva can get you started for free. But if you decide that you like it a lot, the pro plan, which I think is like $20 or something, but it's fantastic for businesses. Canva is really just been a fantastic tool for a lot of people.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, this brings our part three AI webinar to an end. We want to thank everybody for spending part of your day with us. This has been a great session. We love AI. It's something that we're passionate about. I would encourage you to stick with it. It can be frustrating, but when that light bulb moment goes off, it really does go off. And of course, we're always here to help with any questions that you may have.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Great.